Hey everybody, this is Bruce Bishop of ChronicleT.com, back once again with Matt Douglas and Tim Alcorn from AM 930 WEOL. The beauty of video is nobody knows that we got 5 minutes into that last video before Matt screwed us up and we had to start over. So, Week 7 recap. Let's talk about last week.
Well, first of all, he starts off by laughing at us. Sure. We didn't laugh last week when Bruce wasn't here. We complimented Kristen Bauer. She did a great job. Ha, ha, ha. Bruce Bishop comes back, and it's just a big laugh for everybody.
Yeah, throws me under the bus. Do we have Kristen back? Is she available? No, I kid. It's great to have you back, Bruce.
I like to say I didn't only just throw you under the bus, I backed it over you a couple times, too.
Then put it forward again. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Bruce alluded to some big wins last Friday night as far as Week 7 was concerned, and he also alluded to the fact none of them were via luck. It wasn't lucky 7. They were some hard-earned victories. I'll start with the game we had on AM 930 WEOL. Great ball game and a statement win for the Clearview Clippers. They rallied on their home field, Tom Hoke Field, to knock off the Columbia Raiders 28-22. They had beaten Columbia last year, but everybody was saying there was, the kind of the word, well, you beat Columbia without Brandon Coleman. Well, that wasn't the case this year. They beat a very good Columbia team, got an outstanding defensive effort on the offensive side. Their line play was just tremendous. Big win for Clearview, garners them a lot of playoff points. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, but a nice win for the Clearview Clippers. And then last week, Matt, as we looked at Kristen Bauer last week behind the camera, we talked about Avon Lake, the only unbeaten team in the county. They remain unbeaten at 7-0. But, boy, Amherst made them earn it.
Yeah, one of the scariest teams, I think, out there is the Avon Lake Shoremen. It's because teams have imposed their will against them. Earlier, North Ridgeville had 200-plus rushing yards, and they lose a game. That's rare to happen. Westlake won the time of possession battle against Avon Lake earlier this season, and the Shoremen still pulled out the victory, and the same thing happened here. Amherst was running their game, giving the ball to Kennedy Scaglioso. They were having success finding the end zone, and then in the closing minutes, they drop the ball 90 yards. Avon Lake Shoremen pick up the ball. They go 90 yards on the drive to take back the victory, win the game 32-28. They had trailed that entire game up until about a minute and a half remaining, and that's how Avon Lake gets it done. They're the most dangerous team, I think, in Lorain County, because if you give them an opportunity, they're going to take it. They come away with the victory here as well. Another team with an impressive victory, I think, over the weekend, Elyria Catholic. It's been a while since they beat Holy Name. A lot of questions, I think, for Elyria Catholic Panthers fans. Brian Fox has been doing a tremendous job coaching this team. It seemed when they won big, or when they won big. When they lost, they seemed to lose big. This was a quality victory against a conference opponent, and they've got some big games coming up. They're still a playoff team because of this win against Holy Name.
Yeah, they've got playoff potential. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But, boy, Brian Fox has this team believing they can win games. And obviously, part of the game is psychological. You have to walk on the field not hoping you can win. You got to believe you can win. They've got some terrific players. Cam Ingrish, we've talked about him at quarterback. Leighton Banjoff, David Griffin. They've got some outstanding talent, but you still have to believe you can win. They hadn't beaten Holy Name in a long time. So to go out and beat the Green Wave, that's a big win for Elyria Catholic. They've got a real tough one this Friday against Bay. We'll talk about that in a moment, but nice win for EC. And how about Midview? Nice win for the Midview Middies over the Westlake Demons. They get their first win of the year, and of course, Midview has had a quality playoff caliber team for several years. Just hit a dip in the road this year. But, hey, it's always good to get that first one. They got an outstanding performance from a quarterback that really is under the radar this year. But, man, he's got some talent. Andrew Gooch, the quarterback for Midview. That kid can really sling that football. He had a big game last week for the Middies against Westlake, so it was good to see the Middies get their first win.
Without a doubt. And you talk about that offense. I think you and I had talked in the past. We thought they'd come away with some victories earlier on this season. I know they lost to North Olmsted in a close overtime game earlier in the year. They've been right there, almost beat North Ridgeville, but came up just short. If they were playing in another conference, another division, perhaps they'd have more than one victory at this point of the season. But they're tested on a week-to-week basis, and good for them. They stepped up to the plate this week. They knocked off the Demons, got their first victory of the year. It's got to feel good, especially with a young team that this Midview Middies team has. They're building for the future.
And absolutely, before we move on to the next topic, we have to cover this one, even for a few seconds. How about Berea Mid-Park, who we have this Friday on WEOL? 70 points against Olmsted Falls last week, 70-52. That's a basketball score. I should be talking about that score in December and January.
Sure.
Football game with 122 points.
That's crazy. I mean, it's impressive alone they score 70, but the fact that they had to score 70 to win it because Olmsted Falls puts up 52 in this game, that's what Berea Mid-Park does, man. They force you to play their game. They've been doing it to teams all year this year. It'll be real interesting to see them against Avon Lake this week because I think I mentioned before, Avon Lake was one of the few teams that held them to under 30 points last season.
Well, we'll see how that unfolds. So, yeah, it was a fun Week 7, Bruce. No doubt about that.
All right. Hey, so you mentioned basketball scores, a little sneak peek of the future. Do you believe there will be a basketball show, too, for people to look forward to?
You may want to just keep your eye
Just
out
maybe.
for the two of us talking a little hoops.
Just
That's
maybe.
a little bit down
Might
the
be
road.
sneaking in, yeah.
So, in all those big games, I guess there have to be a couple of Orthopedic Associate plays of the week in there somewhere.
Yeah, there were some big plays. We alluded to them a little bit, but let's do it officially with the Orthopedic Associates plays of the week. Matt, you get to go first this week.
All right, so no one can steal my play of the week. No, there were obviously a couple of good ones. I mean, when you looked around at the games, you mentioned Midview getting their first win this week, Clearview with a quality victory over Columbia this week. To me, though, Avon Lake Shoreman going up to 7-0 in a game. Really, they trailed most of this one against Amherst, took advantage of a mistake. Jimmy Schill and Kennedy Scagliozzo put the ball on the ground. Shoreman jumped back on top of it, still had to go 90 yards in the closing minutes of the game. They were able to do so, and in the closing minutes, about a minute and a half left in the game, Jack Mikulich, the quarterback, finds Cole Schraff in the end zone from 24 yards out, gives them their first lead of the game, one that would turn into the victory, 32-28. Avon Lake ends up claiming that win because of that play right there. And for me, I mean, that's the Orthopedic Associate play of the game, capping off a 90-yard drive with a 24-yard touchdown pass. Impressive. And again, the Avon Lake Shoremen stay undefeated because of it. So, Jack Mikulich, Nicole Schraff, congratulations. That's my Orthopedic Associates play of the week.
Good teams find ways to win. It was the only time they led the whole game, and yet, hey, that's why they're 7-0. They find a way to win. And a runner-up in that game, by the way, before I get to my Orthopedic Associates plays of the week, Kennedy Scagliozzo. How about two touchdowns on kickoff returns of 90-plus yards? Not one, but twice. He takes the kickoff return 90 yards plus.
Yeah, they find ways to get the ball in his hands. I saw him do it against Midview. He had a 92-yard touchdown return in that game. I think he had 18, 19, 20 touchdowns on the season at this point, and 3 of them now have come on touchdown or kickoff returns. So watch out when you're kicking the ball this way, too.
Kick it out of bounds. Kick it out of bounds.
Take
All
the
right,
penalty.
my Orthopedic Associates play of the week, and this was a huge play in that Clearview-Columbia game that we talked about earlier. Clearview was trailing late in the second quarter, went on a drive, and their junior quarterback, Chase Christensen, barreled in from 10 yards out in the waning seconds of the second quarter. It was an unbelievable run. He literally got stood up at about the 2-yard line and just muscled his way into the end zone, and that was a huge score at the end of the first half for Clearview. It didn't give them the lead, but boy, it gave them all the momentum going into the half. Then they came out to start the third quarter. They had the football, drove it right down the field, took the lead, a lead they never relinquished. But I'll tell you what, that touchdown run by Chase Christensen was just terrific. In fact, Chase was our Lorain County Community College player of the game. This video blitz brought to you by LCC, so there's another plug. But a great game by Chase Christensen. That touchdown run is my Orthopedic Associates play of the week because it really got them as far as a positive vibe going into the half, and then it carried into the second half.
Speaking of LCCC,
Was Bruce whispering to us or what?
that's my no segue approach. You figure it out.
Yes. Well, of course, as always, the video rolling behind us, the fountain in the Student Center over at Lorain County Community College, I should say the courtyard, but whether it's the fountain or just the campus in general, we've talked about this, about LCC. Beautiful campus. I mean, it really has a big-time college feel to it this time of year with the foliage. It is absolutely gorgeous over at LCC. So if part of that college atmosphere, that college feel is what you're looking for, LCC has it not only in the classroom, but on the campus. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is a nice campus. And again, we've had the opportunity to do afternoon shows from there, Andy Bolbarch and myself. And always enjoy it when I get over there because it does have that college feel to it when you step on the campus, but also the beautiful things, the fountain in the background you can see, and everything that goes on there. Just a lot of fun to be over there. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful.
All right. So listen, it's kind of been October. We should be getting crisp and cool nights now.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
October,
that. That's really good, yeah.
But
Trademark,
we're
yeah.
week 7. We've been working through this season, so it's kind of getting time to start thinking about playoffs, right?
Now is when the fun begins. Now is when you wait for the OHSAA to release the computer points. Of course, JoeIdle.com, we always give him a plug because the work that Joe Idle does is just phenomenal. I mean, Saturday morning when we get ready to do wrap-up shows, he's got all the playoff standings already up on his website. Playoff picture, boy, that Division II region that we look at every single solitary year. Avon Lake sitting at number 3 this week. Avon at number 4. Again, the top 8 teams in each region go to the playoffs. So you've got the Shoremen at 3, Avon at 4, Amherst, even though they've lost a couple of tough ones, still in the hunt, sitting at number 8, and Old Falls at number 9 in that region.
Yeah, and the beauty of it, those are all conference opponents, so they're all going to meet each other here in these closing weeks. Avon Lake still has games against Berea Mid-Park and Olmsted Falls. Amherst moving forward, if they can keep themselves steady, hope for a couple victories from those other guys, and they should be able to with what looks down the end of their schedule. They could very well end up in the postseason, and Avon sitting pretty there as well as they continue toward the end of the season. I think the Clearview Clippers, too, in the Patriot Athletic Conference. Tim, you and I talked a little bit about that, how big that Columbia victory was for them. They're sitting pretty right now. I know they're in that 10 spot in their division, but certainly a team that can get into the postseason with wins here at the end of the year.
Because they've got some big games. They've got Fairview, they've got Lutheran West, so there's still some point games out there as far as Clearview is concerned. So they're looking pretty good. We mentioned Elyria Catholic earlier. Huge game on Friday night against Bay. I think if they beat Bay, they can pretty much start thinking about a Week 11. I know Brian Fox doesn't want me to say that, but right now EC sitting at number 13. You go, well, the top 8 make it, but that's a huge point game against Bay, and then they've got Rocky River in Week 10. So EC still very much alive. Columbia's at number 9. The problem for Columbia, Matt, that was a tough loss to Clearview. Their final 3 games, they're all against clubs with losing records right now, so they can't garner a lot of points. That was a devastating loss for the Raiders.
Yeah, Columbia still has Fairview on the schedule, and I guarantee you that's going to be a winning team by the time they reach Columbia. I think they're coming up here in the next couple weeks, obviously. But Fairview's a very scary team. They'll garner another win or two before the season comes to an end to maybe help Columbia if they can get a victory against the Warriors. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it just doesn't look good for them for that final few games here of the year.
That was a tough loss for the Raiders. It may have knocked them out.
Okay. So, we talked about all these games. Where are you guys going to be this week?
Whoo! Busy week on AM 930
sure
WEOL. It is. It starts Thursday night. We actually have Thursday night football on WEOL. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a road trip. I'll have Lorraine High as they go on the road over to Maple Heights. So that's a Thursday night game on WEOL. And then Friday night, we've got a real good, an outstanding radio game. Kind of flexed our schedule a little bit. Berea Mid-Park at Avon Lake. And the Shoremen basically outscore Berea Mid-Park on Friday night, so that's our radio game. And then on Stream 2, Matt Douglas?
Yeah, I have the opportunity to do that one with Andy Bolbarch and Z Zoltai. I'll be hanging out as the Elyria Catholic Panthers take on the Bay Rockets. That game in Bay should be a good one, as we mentioned before. Look, Bay's not one of those teams that goes out there and puts up 40 points, but their defense is stifling, and that's how they've been winning games. Haven't lost one. I think you have to go all the way back to 2016, the last time the Bay Rockets lost a game. So they're playing great football right now.
Yeah, they're an outstanding high school program. And then our Medina County matchup, Elyria at Medina. Boy, Elyria still looking for that first win of the year. Let's see if they can go on the road and get one at Medina. By the way, for all you Pioneer fans making that road trip, 7:30 kickoff at Medina. There's some homecoming activities going on at Medina, so a 7:30 kickoff, but that'll be our Medina County matchup on Stream 3 on WEOL.com. So Pioneers and Bees as far as the Medina County matchup, Bruce.
All right. Well, I have places to go, people to see, and things to do. Take us home, Tim Alcorn.
All right, Bruce Bishop behind the camera. Yeah, I guess it was good to see him again. It was good to have Bruce back. Matt Douglas, as always, thanks to you. Biggest thanks goes to you, the viewers. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next week's edition of the Video Blitz, so long, everybody.